The newest poll to come out for the 2028 Democratic primary has revealed some pretty interesting insights, including a very surprising figure getting 2% of the vote. Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm breaking down the McLaughlin and Associates new 2028 Democratic primary poll. Obviously we're a long ways away until the 2028 presidential election, but I thought it'd be fun to take a look at this new poll and see where things currently stand on the Democratic side. And don't worry, there is a 2028 Republican primary poll as a part of this poll as well. That will be coming out either tomorrow or the next few days. So stay tuned for that. There will be a Republican section as well. At the leader for the 2028 Democratic primary, Kamala Harris, the former Vice President of the United States and 2024 Democratic presidential nominee, currently leads the pack for 2028 with 33%. And off to the right here, it does show what their numbers were back when this poll was conducted in December of 2024. Harris had 35% then, now she has 33%. So Harris has gone down about 2% since the last time this poll was conducted. Still, she leads overwhelmingly in this Democratic poll. Technically, before moving on, if you want to count undecideds, undecideds is now technically second in this polling list at 22%. So there's clearly a lot of room for multiple Democratic candidates to rise up out of nowhere and win this primary with 22% undecided. But technically, number two is former Secretary of Transportation and Mayor Pete Buttigieg, obviously Mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and 2020 presidential candidate. He is in second place at 9%. It's also interesting Buttigieg is included on this list because he is reportedly considering running for the 2026 Michigan Senate race, and it would seem pretty obvious that if he does run for that race, it would more likely than not mean he'll probably not run for the presidential race in 2028, as running for Senate in 2026, winning, then immediately running for president in 2028 would be a very quick turnaround and faces the same questions Kamala Harris was facing about her potentially running for governor of California and then running for president. It just time-wise doesn't really add up. So Buttigieg is interesting to watch because he may not be on this list too much longer if he does decide to run for the Senate race in Michigan. Number three is California Governor Gavin Newsom. He is someone that's been watched for the 2028 presidential election for the Democrats. He currently sits at third with 7%. That has not changed from December. It is worth noting Pete Buttigieg was at 12% in December. He is now at 9%, so he has gone down 3% as well. Number four, we have Governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, who currently sits at 3% in this poll, down 2% from December. Josh Shapiro is someone that I think would be a very formidable candidate if he actually got to the general election. The question would be, would he actually be able to get through a Democratic primary? And coming in at number five, we have Governor of Minnesota and Vice Presidential nominee with Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, sitting at 3%. Walz is also down from 5% the last time this poll was conducted, down to 3%. I actually just did an election prediction about Tim Walz versus J.D. Vance, so if you want to check that out after this video as well, I would greatly appreciate it. Coming in at number six, we have, it's listed at number six, though she should probably be a little bit higher. We have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who comes in technically fourth with 6% of the vote, so the names are not in the order that the numbers are. But AOC comes in at 6%. She has risen a lot since December, going up 3 points, doubling her support in 2026. Of course, the New York Congresswoman, very outspoken, very popular on social media for a lot of her statements and videos that she makes. She is currently in fourth on this poll at 6%. J.B. Pritzker, Governor of Illinois, he has 1%. Governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, I'm doing another video on her. That'll be coming out, maybe out by a few days by the time you see this. She is at 3%. Then we have Beto O'Rourke, the former nominee for Democrats for Senate race back not too long ago in Texas, at 1%. Cory Booker, 2%, New Jersey Senator. Amy Klobuchar, Minnesota Senator, at 3%. She also ran for president in 2020, as did Cory Booker. Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, is at 2%. Phil Murphy, governor of New Jersey, is at 1%. Deval Patrick, the former Massachusetts governor, is at 0.2%. Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado, is at 1%. And this one is by far my favorite part of the video. Stephen A. Smith, the TV host that talks a lot about basketball and football and such, and has been a frequent guest on Sean Hannity's show on Fox News. He is polling at 2% in this poll, which is something that completely caught me off guard and something I was not expecting at all to see in this poll. So I'm very fascinated to see that. And undecided, as I mentioned, is sitting at 22%. This poll is fascinating. It is very fascinating. I am absolutely stunned Stephen A. Smith is even being considered for this. But I do have an article very quickly, or a quote from the article to show about Stephen A. Smith. I'll pull it up right now. Stephen A. Smith drew some support in a recent poll. Obviously, I just went over the poll. The poll was by John McLaughlin, who was President Trump's chief pollster, of about 1,000 general election voters for their early take on the 2028 race. As I mentioned, he got about 2% respondents. And I do not believe I have the article up that has the quote, but I did read another article that had a quote where he said he would not run for Senate or House, but if someone told him he could actually win the presidential race, then he would strongly consider running. And I mean, I think at the end of the day, it probably means nothing. It probably fizzles out and Stephen A. Smith does not actually run. But there has been a narrative I've seen every now and again online, on X specifically, saying the Democrats need their own version of Donald Trump, someone who's very outspoken and fiery and will not back down from making controversial statements or making very blunt statements. And the undisputed host, Stephen A. Smith, I mean, is chief among them. It's hard not to laugh at, but it's kind of funny. And at very least, I'd be very entertained seeing if he actually did run for something like this. I don't think he's ever going to run for the 2028 Democratic primary, but man, it'd be fun. Overall, looking at this poll objectively, it's pretty clear that Kamala Harris, if she decides to run, does still have a commanding lead over the 2028 Democratic primary. And as I mentioned a few videos back now, it's really a lot, I think, name recognition. Obviously, she is still the person that most Democrats have heard of. She was the vice president of the United States. She just ran for president. She was a Democratic nominee. Over 75 million people voted for her. It makes sense she would still be leading the 2028 Democratic primary poll just 2 months after the election. So I'm not surprised Harris is leading. Seeing her go down 2% from December isn't necessarily too concerning. I do expect her support to wane as we get closer to 2028, but going down 2 points from December is not really that big of a concern. It does speak to the volume, though, that there really is not a clear next up person on the Democratic side. Kind of in a similar situation the Republicans were in after 2012 when Mitt Romney lost. There was no clear 100% direction the Republicans were going to go in, which really rose and gave the opportunity for Donald Trump to really catch fire and to run and win that primary. The Democrats are in a very similar situation for 2028. There's a lot of different directions they could go. They could go with a Democratic governor, a Democratic senator, a potential outsider. Not saying it's going to be Stephen A. Smith, but there could be a Democratic outsider as well. Or they could decide to run it back with the vice president who got 75 million votes. So there's a lot of different directions the Democrats could go. But this poll is interesting and does shed some light on where things stand right now, at least according to McLaughlin and Associates. And of course, this all comes down to the 2028 electoral map, where the Democrats, in my view, will likely be facing off against Vice President J.D. Vance. And Democrats start out with about 212 electoral votes, either solidly or likely for them. Vance starts off at about 219, and there's about 107 electoral votes up for grabs. I know the former Vice President, Kamala Harris, knows this map very, very well after the 2024 election. So this is where ultimately things come down to. And it's looking like if the poll was correct, it would be a Vance versus Harris matchup. So we're going to have to wait and see how things all unfold, but that's where the poll currently stands. I thought it was very fascinating, and I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are about this. If you want to leave a comment below telling me your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to give the video a like, leave a comment below, click subscribe so you always get notified when I post a new video, because I post a video every single day, so make sure to come back and watch those. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video. That will do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to give it a like. And if you really liked it, please remember to click the subscribe button. And make sure you turn post notifications on so you always get notified when I post a new video. That way you never miss one. Also, please remember to share this video with your friends and family if you really, really, really like the video. And remember to stay tuned, because I'll be posting at least one video every single day leading up until Election Day. So I'd really appreciate it if you keep coming back and watching those videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video.